It was just past midnight at a quiet roadside diner, where the rain tapped against the windows like an exhausted lullaby. Emily, a night shift waitress with kind eyes and aching feet, noticed a soaked woman and her little girl tucked into the corner booth, quietly sharing a single plate of fries. When the check came, the woman slid her card across the table. Declined. She tried another. Still declined. She whispered an apology and began to gather her daughter's coat. That's when Emily stepped in without a word. She covered their bill, slipped a sandwich into their to-go bag, and gently said, "Just be safe out there." The woman asked, "What's your name?" Emily smiled softly. "Doesn't matter." She walked home in the rain that night, thinking it was just another shift. But the next morning, a black Rolls-Royce pulled into the diner's cracked parking lot. A man in a tailored suit walked in, asked for the waitress on the night shift, handed the manager a sealed envelope and said, "Tell her thank you." Emily had thought she was helping a stranger. She had no idea who was watching. Emily Parker's life was built on small gestures, not grand statements. Her one-bedroom apartment with its persistent leaky faucet and stack of overdue bills told that story plainly enough. Her paycheck vanished like morning mist rent. Groceries and whatever remained went to her younger brother's college textbooks. What her bank account lacked, her spirit made up for tenfold. She was the quiet sentinel who walked elderly customers home through snowstorms, who remembered regulars' orders before they spoke, who slipped extra bacon onto plates when no one was looking. Kindness without witnesses, generosity without receipts. That rainy night when she helped the woman and her daughter wasn't calculation, it was instinct. The fear in the woman's eyes, that silent plea as cards declined, sparked recognition in Emily. She'd lived in that moment of quiet desperation before. To Emily, covering their meal was as natural as breathing. To someone else, it was salvation. That someone was Rachel Johnson. The question hangs in the air: why would a woman worth billions huddle in a roadside diner, rainwater dripping from her coat, sharing cold fries with her daughter? The answer is both simpler and more complex than you might imagine. Rachel Johnson once commanded boardrooms and charity galas as Noah Sterling's wife. Together they built Apex Systems into a tech empire, their faces adorning Fortune and Forbes. Until cancer rendered all that power meaningless, claiming Noah in 11 brutal months. After the funeral, Rachel simply disappeared. No statements, no interviews. Just a void where a public figure once stood. She liquidated their estate, cut ties with their social circle, relocated with her daughter Mia to somewhere unmarked on society's map. For 3 years, she existed as little more than whispers and speculation. So why emerge from self-imposed exile at a nondescript diner with peeling linoleum? As Rachel would later confess to Emily over steaming coffee. After Noah died, everyone wanted a piece of me, my grief, my money, my connections. Sympathy became currency. Kindness became transaction. I needed to know if genuine compassion still existed when there was nothing to gain from it. That diner was the first place I'd been where no one's eyes followed me. No one's smile held ulterior motives. I was just another tired mother with a hungry child. And in that moment of vulnerability, she found Emily a woman who gave not because of who Rachel was, but despite having no idea who she might be. The following morning, Emily punched in for her shift like countless mornings before, unaware that the universe had shifted beneath her feet. Her locker looked the same: dented metal, faded stickers from bands long disbanded, except for the sleek black envelope secured with silver tape. The gold-embossed initials RJ gleamed under the fluorescent lights. With hesitant fingers, she broke the seal. Inside lay an official document from her perpetually dissatisfied landlord. Rent paid in full, 12 months. The zeros following the dollar sign made her breath catch. Beside it, elegant handwriting on heavy cream paper. Kindness echoes. You gave without expecting. So now I give without asking. RJ? She stared, waiting for reality to reassert itself, for someone to jump out and laugh at her gullibility. Her manager approached, keys jangling at his hip. Lady's driver dropped it off at dawn. Black rolls, tinted windows, said you'd understand what it meant. Emily didn't. Not yet. That evening, after her shift, curiosity overpowered exhaustion. She typed the cryptic initials alongside Rolls-Royce and philanthropy into her cracked phone screen. The search results crystallized the impossible into truth. Rachel Johnson Sterling, tech royalty turned recluse, grieving widow, hidden philanthropist. Articles detailed her quiet empire of compassion, anonymous donations to domestic violence shelters, secret scholarship funds, hospital bills mysteriously settled for families facing bankruptcy. Always without fanfare, always without her name attached. The realization hit Emily like vertigo. The exhausted woman in worn jeans wasn't running from debt or hardship. She was Rachel Sterling, a woman whose net worth could fund Emily's entire hometown for decades. 5 days later, the bell above the diner door chimed. Rachel entered not in disguise, but simply as herself. A woman in understated clothes, holding her daughter's small hand. They claimed the same corner booth, ordered coffee and hot chocolate, waited. Emily approached, coffee pot trembling slightly in her grip. Rachel spoke first, her voice soft but steady. "You didn't recognize me that night, did you?" Emily's cheeks flushed. "No, I didn't." "That's exactly why it mattered," Rachel said, eyes crinkling with warmth. "That's what made it real." They talked as the afternoon light shifted across the checkered floor. About loss of Rachel's husband, Emily's parents. About identity, who we become when stripped of labels. About invisibility, both chosen and forced upon us. When Emily tried to minimize her gesture, it was just a sandwich and a covered bill. Rachel reached across the table, her fingers light on Emily's wrist. "Listen to me," she said, her voice steady. "I've signed checks with more zeros than most people see in a lifetime. I've funded hospitals and research centers. But what you did with no cameras, no recognition, no promise of return, restored something I thought I'd lost. You saw humanity when most people only see transactions. That's not charity. That's grace. This isn't a fairy tale where wealth saves poverty. Money can solve problems, but it can't restore faith." Rachel didn't rescue Emily. Emily reawakened Rachel. 1 month later, without press releases or ribbon-cutting ceremonies, the Quiet Hands Foundation launched. Its mission: providing immediate, judgment-free assistance to service workers facing crisis, housing emergencies, medical bills, childcare disasters. No bureaucratic mazes. No public displays of gratitude required. The foundation's elegantly simple website featured a single line: "Born from one moment of genuine kindness by a waitress named Emily." The foundation grew exponentially. Other wealthy donors, inspired by Rachel's story, contributed. What began as one woman's gratitude became a movement. Yet Emily remained behind her familiar counter, still working doubles, still living paycheck to paycheck, still slipping extra food to hungry teenagers who counted pennies for coffee. The difference? She now volunteered at the foundation on weekends, reviewing applications with insight only someone who'd lived that struggle could provide. One Tuesday afternoon, little Mia skipped into the diner clutching a drawing. Bright crayon strokes depicted Emily in her uniform, passing a sandwich across a counter, bathed in yellow light. Above the image, in the earnest lettering of childhood, "Heroes don't wear capes, they wear aprons." Emily knelt to embrace the child, tears blurring her vision not from gratitude for financial rescue, but because in this small moment, everything made sense. The circle completed itself. The following week, beside the faded Employee of the Month plaques and local sports pennants, the diner's owner mounted a simple frame. Inside, a yellow post-it note in Emily's handwriting: "Be kind. You never know who's sitting at your table." And below it, in different handwriting: "Or who's serving it, RJ." Closing narration. In an era where compassion is often performed rather than practiced, where charity serves the giver's image as much as the receiver's need, Emily and Rachel remind us of a forgotten truth. Real kindness requires no audience, no validation, no reciprocity. It simply requires presence. Sometimes, when you offer kindness expecting nothing in return, you unknowingly hand someone back their hope. And sometimes, they hand you back your purpose. In the quiet spaces between grand gestures, in the wordless exchanges between strangers, in the simple act of seeing another human being. That's where transformation begins. Not with a spotlight, but with a sandwich. Not with applause, but with a single quiet moment that echoes forever.